Hello, my friends! I'm so excited to be here today. I'm talking to you on a lovely Super Saturday. It's been a very busy one this morning. I've been doing my laundry and, getting stuff ready. I did, my little room cleanup, a lot of my Sunday activities that I like to reset, my Sunday resets where I'm, cleaning everything in my room. I'm, things that I may have kind of in the week kind of gotten out of place, putting it back in their place. And, I like to dust it a little bit and just, write out like my weekly calendar and kind of like my goals for the week. And but tomorrow I'm gonna be in an all-day fitness training. The training is from 9 to 6. Knowing me, I'll probably leave here at about 8 and I probably won't get home until closer to 7. So, I'm really anticipating probably coming home and being a little bit tired. I'll still have this to record, to report back on how that went. But it got me really thinking. So, I was thinking about how just almost like the irony of it all. Like if you would have told me, 3 years ago, 2 years ago, 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 12 years ago, that on this January 28th, 2024, that I would have shifted from fat to fit, and in my ultimate, challenge to myself, I'm becoming a certified fitness instructor. And whether I do anything with it or not, that is a whole nother story. But that I, Natasha Russo, had this ability to go from fat to fit, and then have the ability, if I should so choose, to now teach others, oh my God, full circle moment, right? So it got me really thinking, and I was thinking about okay, 6 years ago, I never had this desire to go out and be a fitness instructor per se for me, but I do love to teach. I do love to share. And so, I'm always happy to share with anybody who asks what was my journey? Where did I begin? What works for me? I'm happy to share it. I share here. I'm really proud of my experience. I will tell you the depths of hell when you're eating a 1,200 calorie diet that steers you off of healthcare. You're taking care of your health. It's so bad for over 10 years after that event. I think more than 10 years. My God. But yeah, I was just so there is only extreme deprivation and torture in getting healthy, and I flipped the freaking script on that. So no, it doesn't have to be that way, and I will eat anything and everything I want, including pizza and pasta and burgers and my chocolate and desserts. So it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be a form of deprivation to see results. So what it does take, though, this was the key part for me, and I was thinking about it this morning, was 6 years ago, 8 years ago, 20 years ago, it was this one day I'll start eating healthier. One day I'll start exercising. One day, I'll go to a gym. One day, this. So when I flipped that one day into day one, that's it. That's all it took. It took from changing one day to day one. And then day one changed to day 2. And day 2 changed to day 3. And day 4 changed to day 400. That is it. And I say that to say it's easy. No, it's not. I think the problem is a lot of times there isn't a definition of what we want. It's this kind of loosey-goosey thing. Yeah, I want to go to Europe. Yeah, I want to go to Costa Rica. Yeah, I want to lose weight. Yeah, I want to eat healthier. But there's no defined, clear, plan on what you want to do. It's just kind of this I want to win $1 million. It's just okay, You know, I want to win the lottery. Do you ever play the lottery? Well, no. Well, how are you ever going to win the lottery if you're not playing the lottery? You know, the lottery ticket's not going to just fly into your window one day and voila, it's $1 million winner. Like, you got to play, right? So I think like getting clear, and like for me, who's someone who tends to like, which I really didn't realize this, because I view myself as like super independent and I don't need anybody. I really, you know, can count on myself, you know, I could get by without anybody. But what I realized, talking with my friend Yen, is that there, and I just didn't know that there's this like form of codependency in which my codependency is I like derive my happiness from other, especially before. I'm getting much, much better at this. I have done a lot of practice on the contrary, but for the majority of my life, the vast majority of my life, 98% of my life, how I spent it was I was deriving my joy, my pleasure in other people's pleasure. That's why I say, like, I feel their pain, but I also feel their pleasure. Like, if they're super happy, I'm super happy. Like, it goes both ways. But if they're super anxious, I'm also anxious. If they're angry, I find myself becoming angry. So, like, I was dependent on people's happiness. And because I obviously didn't want them to be anxious, angry, sad, or any of the other things, because I'm along with you, I did everything in my power, so I thought, to create environments in which they would be happy, did things that they would make them happy, cooked foods that would make them happy, you know, bought them things that would make them happy, said things that would make them happy. And, you know, I realized at that time, because I was so engrossed in other people's happiness, that like the easiest thing to do was me to like completely silence like whatever my desires were, so that I'm not feeling disappointed that, hey, I really didn't want Chinese food for dinner. I really wanted Italian, you know, or whatever it is. And it's, you know, and I never spoke my thing to say, okay, fine, we'll have Chinese today, but could we have Italian tomorrow or something? Like, it was just like, nope, you're not worthy of them. You know, you're just, your job here on this earth is to make sure everybody else's life goes smoothly, anticipate their needs, all of that. So I say all that to say, like, you know, shifting and having this alteration of turning like this one day thing into day one, where I wasn't waiting, like, okay, one day when the kids are all graduating and gone to college, then I'll go live my life. Like, when, you know, this business is up and running, then I'll do it. It's like there was all these terms and conditions that I was placing on my own happiness and living my own life. Like, I was born September 9th, 1976, the time I was and the body I was, like, that was me. This was my life. I'm not just an extension, you know, I'm just not like a side, you know, character in the story that, you know, just makes other people's lives better. Like, I have my own life too. Like, I'm the star of my own show. And I think like learning how to really accept that and understand that, and like the challenge for me is to like define what is it I want independent of these other people in my family's thing. And it doesn't mean that like they can't be a part of it, but it just means like, it's like I think of things sometimes that I may want or I may want to do, and immediately I feel guilt because, you know, I think, I want to go on a cruise and I want to go with my family, let's say. And then immediately the first thing I think, but Brad doesn't like open water and this one doesn't like this, so we're not going to go on the cruise. You know, and I started just like thinking, like, instead of just saying, okay, well then fine, we won't go as a family, or we won't, you know, whatever, think of another thing. It's like, nope, now you don't get this want because other people have these other, you know, reasons why they do or don't want to participate in this before I've even asked, and or I have asked and I know the answer and I simply don't like the, you know, like whatever it is. It's like, okay, well then I'll find something else. Like I just want to make everybody happy. And I think that that is like my nature to want to do that. And so I'm working really hard on defining what is it I want. And so I can do it in some things, like, you know, like I can do it with like my, you know, health goal. I could do it in some things, but in some other places, it's a challenge because it feels so unfamiliar to me to just think about what it is I want. Like I've silenced it so long. It's like I have to like really like dig and ask, like, and then I'm like, do I, like I start to really get like, I'm not secure in that, and I'm not like confident in it. And just because I feel like I start to feel a lot of shame and guilt as soon as like, I'm like, I want this, like, so I'm really working hard at like, number one, being able to define what it is I want. I can then say, like, we can sit down as a group and say, what is it we want, but like to just get the definition of it is really a struggle. And I think that's, I'm going to assume that other people experience that as well. Like, we kind of like loosely say what we want and just throw it out there, but there is no like actual, like, I want to travel. Okay, that's broad, that's big. Like, is traveling going to the city next to you? Or what is your definition of traveling? Is it going to Japan? Like, what is it you want to do? And then like define it. So that's my current like day one. Okay, so like I'm going to challenge you, like, what is it that you're doing that you keep saying one day that you can shift and make today, January 27th, 2024, your day one? And what is it? It doesn't have to be like before. I'd be like, okay, listen, I have to start this on a Monday, or it has to be the beginning of the month, or, put on all these ridiculous rules. Like, no, I don't care if it's a Saturday or whatever it is. What is going to be your day one? And, I think that we have this tendency. So, okay, let's say we're talking about travel and we want to travel someplace. So now we're going to define it. So we're going to say, okay, I want to travel to Napa for the weekend. And, you're like, okay, so let's now do a little bit of work. What is it going to cost? Okay, it's going to cost $500. Okay, well, I don't have $500 right now. Okay, well, what can I do? Like, what can I sacrifice, or what can I, whether it be my time and get like a, second job, go, drive around for Uber or do something, pet sitting, whatever it may be. Or what can I like sacrifice that I already have that like I'm willing to like say, hey, I'm gonna not go to Starbucks every single day. I'm gonna make my coffee at home. I'm gonna save on average $5 a day. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take that $5, and I know it's not going to grow any interest. So for all you financial wizards out there, I know, but sometimes we need like a visual. We need to like, I don't know. I'm the type of person that like my gratitude gushings jar is overfloweth because, and like, I have to like rein myself because I'm like, there's just so much I'm grateful for today, but I'm really trying to be like concise and be like, just pick one thing today to put here. I can think about the other ones, but this jar is just for one. And one day I did cheat and put two, one's on the front and one on the back, but like, that's okay. It's so good to be grateful for so many things, right? That's a great thing, a great problem to have. But like, because I have this visual, because I have this habit, because I have this routine, and I like it because it has colorful things. So it's vibrant. It's, it's just pleasurable for me. I'm using a pen that it has a lot of sentiment to me, like, and I see it grow and I shake it up and I'm like, I'm just really excited to have that. And I know that, I haven't had to utilize it, but if there ever comes a day or a time where I'm feeling down or I don't feel like grateful, I feel like the world is against me, all I have to do is open up that jar and see and read how beautiful this world is. And so, I say all this to say, like, having these things. So like if we had a jar and we took this $5 that we were saving because we were now making our Starbucks at home, and you put it in there, and the first day we see, you're like, okay, cool. First day there's nothing in there, and you're like, yeah, whatever, I'm not going on this trip, whatever. And then you put $5 in and you're like, cool, I'm still so freaking far though from it. Like there's one $5 bill in there. And then the next day you put another one, you got $10, 20, next thing you know, 50. But you know what? After 100 days, if you do this just 100 days in a row, that jar is going to be overfloweth, right? It's going to have $500 in there. You're going to have the ability to go on this weekend trip that you wanted to take. And you did sacrifice something, but you also gained something. And so I think that in life, like sometimes we like feel entitled to our suffering. Like we're like, oh, we'll never be able to afford this. Oh, we'll never this. Like we get this like this entitlement to it, but it's like we're sacrificing either way. Like if I'm sacrificing my Starbucks, or if I'm sacrificing like my mental health and my well-being by not taking this trip, we're sacrificing either way. It's like, pick your poison. Like I don't know, I'd rather sacrifice the Starbucks for 100 days and take a cool trip and, you know, enjoy that. And the most important part is like, this part is, it's the psychology part. It's the like, I did that. Like I made a decision on day one that I was going to utilize this jar for my traveling. And it's going to be specifically for this trip to Napa for the weekend. And here you are. I started with nothing and look at me now. And I can just imagine like myself, like sitting poolside, you know, reading a book and being like, damn, I did that. And there's just this confidence that you grow. And when you're able to do that, like on a small scale, make my bed every day. Like I look around and I'm like, these things that I do every day, they're so tiny and they're so consequential. And you don't know if I've done it or not. Like no one will ever know if I've made my bed or not. No one will really care, but I know. Like, I know I did that. I know, you know, I dusted my room. I know I did these things. And that's enough to know. And it's enough to know, like, if I could do this on one day, I could do this on this day. And it's really challenging in the beginning, right? Like, you have to make the environment just right. You do whatever it is to make sure you do this. You forget sometimes. Like, you just sometimes are like, I just don't want to. I don't want to. Today I'm not doing it. I'm not saving the $5. I really want my macchiato at Starbucks. That's it. Like, that's okay. So it takes you one extra day to get there. That's okay. You're still going to get there. You still have this far. When you look at that jar, you're going to be like, yeah, tomorrow I'm going to make my own coffee. And, you know, I think that like, if we make these small sacrifices, these small micro things. And for me, it's super helpful to have this visual thing. So like a jar filled with money, even though if I put it in the bank, I'd be earning some kind of penny on it, you know, like it just helps me to see the progress, just like with the Post-its in the gushings, you know, my gratitude gushings. It helps me to see the progress. And I look at that and it makes me smile. Like I did that. So like the same thing goes. If you know, you want to go, say I'm going to start the habit of going to the gym and you go, like tomorrow you're going to not see a change, right? Like we want these immediate results. We want these things to look in the mirror and be like, but I went to the gym yesterday. Why, you know, why am I still looking like this? Well, it isn't immediate. It's slow and you have to be patient and it takes time, and commitment and consistency. And it all starts with a decision on day one. Like, are you going to do this? Are you going to commit to this? And, you know, it started making me think because I was like, you know, I was dusting. And so I find those pictures of the, you know, little Natasha that summarizes me up on the swing and the goofy girl just smiling and showing her teeth. And, you know, I think about like, gosh, I have so much pride for her. Like, I adore her. Like, I don't know if she knew she was so adored. And if nobody else has ever told her she was so adored, like future her, adores her. And so it started making me think about like, going back to almost like a Taylor Swift, like the eras of my life. And I was thinking about, because I went with my friend Yen yesterday and had shared some photos and looked at photos of when we used to go to lunch. And I was just like, dang, you know, like almost unrecognizable in so many ways. And like, when I look at a photo of me there, it's interesting, and which made me think about it, is like, it almost has like, I feel it immediately. I feel a sadness. I feel how sad she was. Like, I know that feeling of trying on the 10 different jeans that she ultimately landed on. And then the shirt that she thought would, you know, cover the belly and the arms and the this. And she just wanted to hide away. Like, if anything, she wanted to go back into that closet that I bombarded myself in as a little girl and just hide away so the world couldn't see her. And just so filled with like shame and insecurity and just absolute disgust for herself, like just hopelessness, just just, but yet still very like, and that was like in her sense, but still like true to her beliefs that like everything happens for a reason. And, that, nothing, like just, I still was very much in the same belief system. I just didn't, and I could teach it to my kids and I can say it, but then it was like, I had a couple times where they would ask me, well, what about you, Mom? Like, you're not applying these things you're telling us, in some ways. And I'm like, dang, I'm not, like, well, why aren't you? Like, where is the block? You know the information. You know what to do to get yourself out of this situation where you're feeling this way. But why are you choosing not? Like, why do you keep choosing one day? Why can't today? Isn't today an amazing day to be day one? Like, why not? And so I'm like, I look at her and I have this shame, like, because it's like, first off, there's not very many photos where I'm not strategically hidden behind people or behind the camera, right? Chris doesn't go around taking photos and things like, it's like my kids aren't going around taking photos. So I took the photos. So if you're not in the photo and if you're feeling not good about yourself, you're not gonna be like, oh, hey, can A, somebody just take a photo of me? And B, you're not gonna say like, oh, excuse me, like, can you take a photo of us? And then I'm not gonna be putting myself in the front section of the crew. So, I got really strategic about how I was placed in there. And I mean, you could still tell from the face, from other things, like it's obvious, that there was significant weight still on this body. And I thought to myself, I really do need to go through the eras of my life. Like, it isn't fair to me to only be proud of the young me and proud of me today. Like, I only have around here the pictures of me as a kid, and then there's a family photo where I was big, but I was strategically placed behind somebody else. And then, I have pictures of my kids around the room and things like that. But I thought to myself, what I need to do is I need to go back into all the eras of my life and put out a picture, because I'm proud of every part. Like, as I don't feel like any, like, oh, I should have did this sooner, or I should have did this. Like, when I look at the overweight pictures of me, I just look at it like, I am so grateful. I am so proud. Like, the Natasha today, the one that woke up today, because I'm different than I was yesterday, and I'm different than who I will be tomorrow. But the Natasha that woke up today, she reaped the benefits of the Natasha that said, one day is today. Like, I wake up not having to carry an extra 130 whatever pounds it's now been that I've actually lost. I don't have to carry that extra weight with me. I don't have to wake up and struggle to remind myself to make my bed. I have so much more freedom and confidence and courage. Like, I don't have to worry about when I'm going to start filming, because the Natasha, whatever it was, 15, 20, whatever days it was ago, 14, 12, I don't remember, 18, I should probably start keeping track. But that Natasha, she decided that was day one of my filming. And so I don't have to try to choose day one. I just have to keep the process going. I just have the baton today, and my job is to keep it going, and then pass it to the tomorrow Natasha. And so, like, I'm super proud of that Natasha, that she was able to keep her mentality, that she was able to educate and research and find the information that she needed to find a lifestyle adjustment that would work for me. And so, like, I really am like, that's like one on my now new to-do list, is like, I want to go through and I want to find different photos of the different like eras of my life. I don't know, maybe like no more than 10, I'm not 50, so it'll give me, a couple, and all of it, because I'm proud of every single step of the moment, because it doesn't take that, like, and it could be a good habit or a bad habit. Like, day one, like, I remember, I think his name is Morgan Spurlock or something like that. And I remember he did this this like documentary. I think it was called like Super Size Me or something like that, where he ate McDonald's for 30 days in a row. And the first day you don't see a change, right? Like it's not that drastic or anything. Day 2 you don't, day 3 you don't. But sure as anything, when he got to day 30, the way he felt inside was quite evident on his exterior appearance. And so it could be anything, like any habit, like a good habit or a bad habit, anything we commit to, there are going to be results, and they're not immediate. They can happen quickly like they did with this, but they're not immediate. And so have patience, make a small goal. And if it's a small goal, then those things will come immediately. If you're like, okay, you know, I'm going to make my bed, that's an easy thing to see. And then, you know, it's a small thing. Like, you know, it's just literally like one other thing I was thinking about today is just like, it's just a part of like, it could be whatever you want to do. Like, it doesn't have to be ginormous. And if even being kind to yourself just seems so foreign that you can't do it, be kind to somebody else. Like, I was thinking about this. Like, sometimes I go into a public restroom and sometimes they're like a real mess. Like, you're just like, ew, this is so freaking gross. Like, how hard is it to put like the tissue in the toilet or the seat cover in the trash? Like, if it lands on the ground, like, you just leave it. Like, and I think to myself, do people think like some miraculous like bathroom cleaning robot comes and then just tidies it up for them? I'm like, no, this is somebody's job. This is their occupation. They come in here and they clean it up. How hard is it for you to just put the tissue into the trash can or into the toilet or whatever it is, put the paper towel in the trash, not next to the trash? Like, if it falls out when you're putting it in, bend over, pick it back up and put it in the trash. And I think about it. So like, sometimes I'll walk into a bathroom and I'll like get a couple paper towels. Like, I'm bound. Listen, there's some things I don't have the gloves, you know, I don't have the, you know, thing. But if there's some paper towels, like, take a couple paper towels, pick it up and put it away. And like, nobody will ever know I did that. No one will ever care that I did that. But I know I did that. I know that when I walked into that bathroom, it looked one way. And when I left the bathroom, it looked better than when I left it. And that's kind of like the impact I want to have. Like, and it could be small things that nobody ever really knows, but you know, and you're creating ripples. And those ripples, I promise, they do turn into waves, because maybe somebody will catch you and be like, that was really nice. You know, like, I don't know if I would do that. And then maybe the next time they go to the bathroom, they see something like that and they're like, okay, I'm going to do it. Like, you know, or at least take care of keep putting their own trash into the trash and not assuming somebody else is going to do it. Like, you are leaving the world a worse place than a better place. And so don't you want to leave it as a better place? Like, just doing little acts of kindness is just such an incredible gift to this world, and gift to yourself. Like, you know you did that. You know, and that gives you power, and that gives you strength, and that gives you confidence, and that gives you just the knowing that you made this world a better place. You were kind. So whatever your day one is, like, it could be, I want to learn how to cook, or I want to cook this specific thing. Like, I want to learn how to cook macaroni and cheese from scratch. Like, whatever it is, like, choose something. And if it's like, I just want to smile at one person today, it does not have to be big. It does not have to cost you money. It doesn't have to do anything. You define it. What do you want? What is something you say, well, one day. What is something that you can change that one day to today? Today is day one. So go out there and do that, please. And then secondarily, tonight is a big kind of ish night. So it's like always been like, there's like these certain milestones and things that happen in the kids that like I really hold on to as like, I value this. This is, you know, really important to me, you know, like a graduation or a thing. And I think it comes from, you know, as I think about this, as I'm talking, I think it stems a lot from my own childhood, and that, you know, people didn't show up. It didn't seem important to anyone. It didn't seem important to myself. Like, I think like, you know, I've gone, you know, leaned way in on being this super mom and valuing things that they just don't even care about, you know, but they become even bigger than like the normal person's because of my own filter, my own life experiences. And so tonight is Dylan's senior night for soccer. And so, as you know, he's torn his ACL. It not only, was he injured, it took his entire passion, it took his entire love. Like, you can't play, you can't touch a soccer ball, you can't no, you can't do any of that. And for a really long time. And so at first he was going to all the practices and all the games and things like that. And then, life gets in the way. He has pneumonia. He has all these things going on. So he hasn't been able to go. And tonight's senior night. And, it's not that big of a deal, but it's a big deal to me for some reason. And it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'm really working around it because I want to honor if he really doesn't want to go because of his own stuff. Like, he didn't have the season he wanted, then I honor that. But I remember when I heard about his injury, this was one of those things that I cried a good amount of times about, because it was just this vision of this normalcy again kind of ripped from my life's experience. So my first son wasn't born with the way I expected. My wedding by far was not what I dreamed of. Just my daughter's graduation with COVID, not what we expected. The kids in the hospital with heart and brain surgeries, not what I expected. The kids with the peanut allergy doing trials, which, by the way, I just want to say out there, peanut allergies, I know it's one of the things that people make fun of on TV. It is serious. And I just want to send out a special love and hug to the allergy family community. There's a lovely young lady, and she's a dancer. Her name was Orla, and she ate a cookie. She was hypervigilant. She had her EpiPens on her, and she did everything right. And somebody along the way failed her. She ate a cookie, and the company, the store in which it was bought from, they bought cookies, but then they relabeled them in the bakery as if they had made them. And when they did the relabeling, they did it, months ago, they were told they now contain peanuts, and they never redid their labeling, just continued to put it on. And as a result, this lovely red-headed vixen dancer is no longer here on earth. She ate a freaking cookie. She took one bite of a cookie, and she is dead. She is gone. And so that breaks my heart and worries me once again as a mom. That was my worst nightmare. That is why I, would hear stories about this happening. I mean, I remember this one girl in Sacramento, and I'm so sorry, but I'm forgetting her name. Both of her parents were doctors, and she was a twin. And hers, I believe, was a Rice Krispie treat at a family camp. Family camp. Both her parents were doctors. There were nurses there. She didn't survive. So I was like, listen, I'm not a doctor, although I could have been at this point, but I am not a doctor. I am not a nurse. And if this young lady who has additional resources not available to me was not able to survive, then I need to be and instill in my kids and my son in particular, hypervigilancy in order to protect himself, and in order for us to protect him while he is too young to understand how to. And so I say all that to say, allergies are not a joke. And we, like I say, it can be funny in a movie line or plot line, but Orla and her family and her friends, my heart literally breaks for you. On one sense, I'm so grateful for the advances, because it was saying something in the news report that over 6 million people in the United States have a peanut allergy alone. But then there's tree nuts, there's milk, there's egg, there's soy, there's all kinds of allergens out there that people can have this anaphylaxis to. So this Orla, she did the right thing. She EpiPenned. I'm not sure if she did an EpiPen twice, but I don't know the rest of the details, but all I can say is if you ever see anybody having a reaction, EpiPen. If it's not working, EpiPen again on the other leg. Don't do the same leg. And the minute you EpiPen, call 911. Period. Bottom line. And even still, those are no guarantees. I have a few Facebook friends on there. One is Georgina, and another one is Brian Hom. And, I've had extensive conversations with them. Both of them have also lost a child to a peanut allergy. And so, God, isn't that scary? Like, and isn't that like I'm telling you about? Like, you are a 20-something-year-old girl in the prime of your life. You are living your dream. You're out here dancing and you're hungry. You take a bite of a cookie. You read the material. And that's it. So there are just no guarantees. There are no guarantees that we are going to go to sleep tonight. And so why not make it day one while we can? Because we don't know. Like, there's no telling when that last day will be. So why not just live your life for you and live it the best you can? So Orla, I know you are a lovely angel out there and you deserved better. Like, they failed you and you did everything right. And parents and friends of hers should be so proud that she was carrying an EpiPen at 20 something and that they knew what to do. And it's just so unfortunate, even though all the right things were done, that we did not have the outcome we would have all wanted. And I wish I would have known about her name, because she was some amazing dancer that I saw, not from a tragic passing. But I hope this goes to teach others to really, be vigilant and to really live their lives while they can, because we have no guarantees. And so I say all that to say, I don't even know how I got in that. Oh, I was talking about how, sorry, just like a little bit shook up. Like, it's tough to hear. It's really tough to hear. But I was thinking about how it was just one of those things again that I'm expecting, you have these little like milestones, or they're going to graduate, they're going to have this thing. And it's like, and now almost in a way I'm becoming desensitized, because it's like, oh, okay, Natasha, your life and your kid's life don't go like the TV shows do. They don't go like the damn rom-com. Like, they're not these like picture perfect realities where, like your kids play soccer and never have an injury. Your kids, do cheer and never have an injury. Like your kids never have a surgery. Like, that is not your life. Kudos to everybody else who gets to have that life. I will admire you from a distance, and I will just plug through the life that I have here. So for a couple reasons, it was really important for me to have, Dylan have this. Like I said, it was one of those losses I needed to mourn early on. And was like still very hopeful that he would choose to participate in the senior night activity. And it's so stupid. It's literally like he walks over, we as a family walk over, we get together, we snap a picture under some balloons, and we call it a day. But for some reason, it's just like one of those things that like, it's important to me. And, I was telling him today, because he's like, I don't know if I want to go. And, I've had this pneumonia, so I haven't even been going to the games recently and all these things. And I said, yeah, but you would be going. Like if you could play, you would be there. I even believe with pneumonia and all, he would still be there. If you could, and you did go, like it doesn't negate the fact that you went through COVID. You went after that. Like you went, not when but you went during the pandemic. Like when you were allowed to, you still went all those years, and you've gone to as much as you've gone to. And I said, and I explained to him, I said, after your brain surgery, of course, we didn't know what was going to happen, what you were going to be like, if all these things. And I remember then, like, counting, like, how many days apart, because their season was a little bit longer, so there was a little more of a thing, like, would you be home in time? Would you be able to participate? Like, it was this really important thing to me when Bradley had his senior night. It was just a few days, weekday to, I don't know exactly the number. I could go back and look. It's not that important, but say no more than 2 weeks between the time that Dylan had his surgery and when Brad's senior night was. And for some reason, it was just this really important thing to me. Even then, like, it was, of course, then he's the first kid, so it's even more important. Everything is like, like the first of everything, right? So it's like, you got to do it all right with that first kid. Or at least I did. And then, just to say, like, we were okay. Like, we did it. And so I remember, like, even, like, being like, okay, like, Chris was like, this is ridiculous. He should not be out there. And I'm like, this is really important to me. And at that time, Brad's coach was, like, one of Dylan's very first coach and one of Dylan's very first, like, not in soccer, but in baseball. But he was, he adored Dylan. Like, he saw so much potential in Dylan. And, he had even experienced things that we didn't know at the time were his brain tumor. Like, he knew all the migraines. I mean, Dylan, one time he was like vomiting, had this head pain so bad. I mean, in hindsight, like I say, why did we not do an MRI? But we can't go back in time, but I can definitely learn. So this kid is vomiting on, and we were just like, oh, and his head is pounding. And it was this important game for whatever he was, 10, 11, 12, whatever year old kid. And it was a game to get them into the playoffs, or it was the playoffs. And he was like, Dylan, we need you to go and stand at bat. Like, can you do this? And I like, part of me is like, what the hell were we thinking? But you're just in that moment. And he was like, can you just stand there? Because even if you get the out, like, but we will lose. I don't know the rules and everything of this baseball business, but like, some reason he had to do it. Nobody could go in for him. It had to be him, or they would take an out or something like that. And he was like, I just need you to stand there. And so Dylan is like, not well. He's, his head is busting out. You got to put on this helmet. It's hot. And next thing you know, here he comes. Dylan comes. He goes up to bat, and I'm just dying inside for him. But I'm also proud of his perseverance, and that he was thinking of his team above himself. But I was really worried about him. Even I didn't know he had a freaking thing in his head, bleeding at this time. We didn't know. We just didn't know. And nobody knew. And if we knew, this scenario would never have happened. But he went up there, and the first one, he just stood. And the second one, he just stood. But like a damn movie. And that third one, he hit the crap out of that ball. And in came the runner, and he got on first base, and it was like, they won. And I just remember Dylan, like, once he got off, threw off the hat, and the helmet, like, he couldn't even celebrate with them. He was just so bad. Went back to, like, vomiting again. It was just so difficult. So anyways, I say all that to say, so our lovely coach, Mr. Westcott, Jason Westcott, he always believed in Dylan, and he was very good to Dylan. And he was Brad's coach at this time for high school soccer. And so it was like really important, like, for me, for like people to see that Dylan was okay, because our community did rally around him so much, and like, people cared. And so it was just important. Like, we beat it. He did it, he's okay-ish at this point. He was still having a lot of his own deficits and things like that, but like, he is alive, and that's it. Like, that's a, we made it. And so I remember, like, negotiating with everybody, and like Brad's like, seriously, you guys don't have to go, and like, I don't even want to go. And then like, I'm like, no, we are going, like, we are gonna work this out. And I remember like strategizing because the parking lot was far and walking was still a challenge for Dylan, and sounds and everything was like really hard. He had, I mean, an intense headache for I think 6 months straight following the surgery. I'm sure that just comes with the territory. So he's in pain and all this stuff. He doesn't want to be going out and putting on foothill clothes and doing this. It was so important for me. And so I think that like the symbolism of like his survival then and being able to go, and then like that was like our first family photo as post surgery, and after this like hellish few months that we had just experienced. Like, it was just our first moment of like normalcy. It was the first moment where it wasn't about the brain surgery, and it wasn't about seizures, and it wasn't about medicines and helping him and insurance and crying and worrying and praying. It was about something else. And we could just kind of be a normal family under these really unnormal circumstances. And so it was really important to me. And I remember that night just being so grateful. Like, we had, in order to get Dylan there, we had like, we didn't have, like kid wagons anymore, but we had like, the wagon that every soccer parent has with the umbrellas and the chairs and stuff. So yeah, like we had that wagon. And so I'm like, just put him in that, like, it's okay. So like, he had to get wheeled out in a wagon, and like, I should have just bought a wheelchair or something at the time. I didn't even think about it, but the wagon came to mind, and you see me rolling and the hating and he's in the wagon riding dirty. I don't know. So like, it was really important to me. And so, yeah. And so then, obviously Karina had hers. We had hers. Hers was, like in December, November, something like that. It was, so, again, the whole family of Brad even came home from college, and the whole family was able to support her. It was quite a big deal for her. It was, had to make sure everything was perfect. Had to get not roses, but I got her a bunch of sunflowers, and, just everything. It was like, come on, I hope I did this one right. There were a lot of expectations, and I nailed it out of the park. We took pictures, there were these things. So like, yeah, that was all good. And then, now here's Dylan's. And I think, the symbolism of being able to go back and do it, it's really important to be able to have this experience that while we all didn't get to enjoy Dylan playing on the soccer field this year, we did get to enjoy watching a piece of him grow and mature and handle a really difficult situation much better than perhaps any of us would have. Like, he found so much joy in alternative ways, and playing FIFA was his way of which is the soccer video game, it was his way to be able to compete. It's his way of being able to like stay in the game mentally. Was able, like, it just gave him a community that he didn't know like really existed. And I think that that's really cool, like that they're like, sometimes in life, again, like, we don't always get what we want, but sometimes in life we get what we need. But we have to have a plan, and we have to try. Like, if it wasn't for him playing soccer and being injured, he wouldn't have had, this time to go and develop this other interest to this degree. So, I'm not sure what's going to happen with any of it. And, but I'm so proud of him and his journey, and like his stamina to be able to endure some really tough things. And I'm just the observer, and I'm losing the normalcy in what I expect, but it's really happening to him. And yeah, it has an effect on me because, he's like one of my little tentacles here. He's a part of me. He is, he lived inside of me. And, I just, when he was born, I like gave him a piece of my heart, and there's a little piece of my heart wandering around this world. And when his heart breaks, my heart breaks alongside of him. And, it's just like, it's just so tricky sometimes being a parent and seeing your kids have to overcome things. But then it's so freaking rewarding, like, it's so cute. Cause like, he was like, I think it was like 2 days ago, he was like, okay, Mom, so I've been listening to you And, I've been stuck in my room with this pneumonia. He's like, so today I made my bed. And he was like, I knew you were saying this from, the Admiral that, you read about. And, he's like, so today I made my bed and I've got, these things, I'm going to start waking up earlier than this and this and this. So it's like, and even if he starts and then fails and then starts and comes back to it, all those little seeds, like it was worth it, because today may not be his day 1 and today may be his day 3. I don't know where he is on his journey. And just because you hear something, it doesn't mean you're in a time, place, or have the ability to apply it. But as long as you're doing something, as long as you're considering it, as long as you're open to say, let me try. If this works, great. If this doesn't work, great too. I'll try something else, or I'll try another methodology, I've already done my, these were all little things. Like today, some of the things I can accomplish that I can say, I made my bed. That was a choice that I had to make a long time ago to make it a non-negotiable habit. I did that. I did my 5 minutes of meditation. Oh my God, that's crazy. I can't tell you the last time I've consistently meditated for 5 minutes. And I'm looking forward to it. And I'm always literally bummed when it's the timer goes off or the song ends. I'm like, dang it. I literally was so loving this. I was vibing in this and wasn't doing anything. But now I'm I got back to life, back to reality. I got things to do now. But sitting there in there and doing that, I'm at 18,000 steps already. I did that already here. I'm already okay, because I'm anticipating the rest of the day and when it's going to be there. I've taken my shower, I've dry brushed, I've scalp massaged, I've put on my moisturizers. I have, let's think what else I've done. Oh, I've responded to a couple emails. I have done laundry. These are all things that were just oh yeah, they were loosey-goosey. But when I've now integrated them into daily habits and daily routines, things are getting done. And I feel so good about it. This lady yesterday at the gym was I just have to say, your eyes are sparkling. You, from the time that I met you a year and a half, 2 years ago to now, your transformation has been beyond the body. Yeah, that is nice. You have a nice body. You have a fun curves, you've got the boobs, you got the butt, you have a small waist. You've got it all. But she said the thing that I think is really neat is to see how your face is glowing, how your eyes are twinkling. And I was like, you need to stop it. That is just so nice to even notice amidst, a dance class here. People are nice and you show up and you start doing these little things. And yeah, it may have taken me 2 or 3 years to get me to the point where my skin looks like this, or my eyes are glowing or twinkling, as she would say. But I'll be damned, it was worth it. And so I thank the Natasha that chose that day to keep the baton going, to keep it going. And I do it today to honor her, the one that said today is our day 1 and now we're at day 570, whatever. And I do it for the 107-year-old me that's going to look back at her and be like, she was kicking butt back then. And now look at me now. I am living my best life as a, testament to her healthier choices and life. So I say all this to say, it's coming. What is going to be your day 1 today? And I'd love for you to write and let me know. Tell me, is it something big? If it is, kudos to you. But even if it is, start small. Okay, I am going to save for a trip, and be super specific. I'm going to smile at 5 people today. I'm going to give somebody a compliment. I'm going to love myself today. I am going to take a cold shower. I am going to, whatever it is, tell me. I'd love to hear what your day 1 is, and maybe we can keep one another accountable for it. Hey, I'm at day 86. Maybe you had your day 1 already. Tell me, what was it? Tell me what day you're at, and how do you feel now? Because I know it's tricky in the beginning, to keep the momentum going. But once that momentum hits and you're this feels good, this is exciting, I'm doing this, it just snowballs. And then you're like a fiend. You want more new things to try, and you're willing to take these chances and put yourself out there because you're it always pays off in the end. Like, I always feel better in the end. So why the heck not? Why am I going to sit here and do things that don't bring me the absolute most joy? So yes, so I say all that to say, I hope you guys have a wonderful day today. I plan to. I've already had a great day. It's a great day to have a great day, isn't it? And so I really appreciate you listening, and I appreciate your time and your energy. And I can't wait to talk to you again. Have a lovely day. Bye.